Hiya. Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me to come and speak. This is the third Citizens MK meeting that I've been to, and particularly it's great to see so many people and so many people from across our city here. What got me into politics and why I want to be elected is because I want to make real change. I want us to build a fairer future in Milton Keynes. The first time I was elected to the council, to a council in 2010, was because I'd been a school governor where the system had failed. The previous council, the Lib Dem council, had privatised our children's services, and as a result they'd privatised the HR system that our school was taking forward. That meant that no one was checking our single central register, and anyone who works in a school will tell you how important it is to make sure that everyone who is working in a school has had what was a CRB check or now a DBS check to make sure they are safe to work with children. And as a result of no one checking that, as a result of privatisation, we had someone who was a danger to children working in our school, and he was sacked on the spot, and we suspended the head teacher and he was eventually sacked. But that happened, in my mind, because of privatisation, because a service that should be done by the state, that should be checked by the state, that should have those checks and balances, those responsibilities enshrined in law, that they should happen, and they weren't doing because the system was privatised. And I stood for the council in order to make sure that that service came back in-house, that that responsibility was enacted, and that children in that school were safe. And I stood for the council in 2010, and I'm glad to say that the authority that I was part of brought that service back in-house, and children will no longer be in a situation that could be unsafe. And that's what I'm about. It's real change. It's standing up and trying to make a difference. I was one of the first babies to be born in Milton Keynes Hospital, and like Hannah, I grew up in this city. I went to Ousdale, that many of you know, and I went off to Oxford in the early 2000s. When I came back recently to Milton Keynes, I'm a governor at Milton Keynes College and I work in further education. When I came back, I saw the ravages of austerity in our city. I saw the hospital not having enough funds, people waiting 3 or 4 weeks for a GP's appointment, schools that were full and didn't have enough resources, transport in trouble. And we need to make sure that Milton Keynes goes back to that original idea of the founders, that it could be that city of dreams. It could be an inclusive, welcoming city where we have decent public services, where we have good, affordable housing, and where we have stable, secure work. And that's what I'm fighting for, so that we can build that fairer future and respect the original views of the founders of Milton Keynes. In terms of your pledges, like Hannah, I'm happy to agree to all of them. In fact, one of the things that you mentioned around making misogyny a hate crime is part of our manifesto, and I'm proud to stand on that. In terms of fair work in particular, I'm a trade unionist. I've been a trade union rep in an organisation standing up for people, trying to make sure that their pensions weren't under attack, that they weren't being threatened with redundancy for standing up themselves. And I think it's incredibly important that we build an economy that has stable and secure work, that gig economy doesn't threaten the security of our young people, that enables people to go into, to rent homes, to buy homes, to be successful on their own. And they need support for that. In terms of the climate, we're trying to make sure, I'm a cyclist myself, you'll often see me cycling or running around our redways in Milton Keynes. And we need to make sure that there's a radical change around the climate. This is an emergency and we need to do something radical about it. It's not just about making our homes more energy efficient or using a bit more renewables or putting a few solar panels on. We need all of those things, but we need to think about it as a system. We need to make sure, if you'll excuse my pun, that there is an ecosystem that supports making us carbon neutral, ideally by 2030 if we possibly can, and I'd certainly support the council in their work there. I'd also like to support the refugee welcome scheme, and I'd certainly be keen to come and speak to those in refugee welcome Wolverton should I be elected. I think that's all, so thank you very much.